Welcome to the Seraphine Podcast.
Thank you so much.
I am Seraphine Arocha, and this is Dominic Franco.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
I am over the moon that you are here. I
you.
have heard nothing but good things about you. And I first want to start out by just saying welcome.
Thank
Your
you.
energy is exactly what I needed.
Thank
I
you.
have been in the COVID cloud. I have been in the, I don't know, cloud, just the cloud.
Absolutely.
And it feels so great to be around energy that is just,
Yes.
So, Dominic, you are the first male dancer cheerleader on the Chiefs. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Freaking love that. I think dance for me has always been a big, huge outlet for me, especially now more than ever. I've been craving after I teach my classes at Woodside.
Yes.
I have my music and I'm like, God, all I want to do is dance in this studio.
Oh, girl. You should come see me at F45. I literally have my own dance party.
I love it.
It is dance party karaoke night, again, featuring the one and only me and no one else.
I love it.
It's so much fun, so I love that.
So how did you start out in dance? Was it at a young age or was it in high school when you were like, I'm going to just try it out?
I feel like I have a different path than most dancers. I mean, nowadays, it's very normal to start, even 2-3 years old. I started dancing, really taking classes when I was 9, didn't take it seriously until I was 11. So actually a little bit later,
Okay.
Especially for male dancers too. I mean, I was never naturally flexible, so I feel like I lost a little bit of time to gain that flexibility back. But I started when I was 9, took it seriously when I was 11, and then just from there, I think my mom was like, okay, this kid really loves it because he will not stop dancing and knocking over the TV. So I've always just had it. It's been a part of my life, but I started around that age. And then from there, I just knew there was never a doubt in my mind that I didn't want to do anything else. There was just something in me that was like, dance is going to be a part of my life forever.
Yeah.
And I just loved it. So then I started just taking rec classes about once or twice a week. Finally, when I was 11, my mom was like, you got invited to be a part of the competition team at the studio. And I was living in Michigan at the time.
Okay.
And my mom was like, if you do this is going to be a huge time commitment. And I want you to know, you are still a child. You're going to have to give up some of your time with your friends. And I kid you not, my mom could not force me out of the dance studio. I was being like, Mom, I want to sleep over here. Mom, I don't want to leave. And she was like, oh my God, this kid is crazy. Dominic, it's 8 o'clock on a Saturday. We have to leave the dance studio. And so I have always loved it. And it was just always a part of my life.
What were some of the inspirations for, when you were there are things on TV you watched? For me, Baryshnikov. I'm a little older. I'm going to show you my age here, but I remember seeing Baryshnikov for the first time as a child, around 7. My mom always dabbled in ballet.
Okay.
And I just lived in this world of this beautiful Russian man who would leap and bound. And I wanted to be able to do it.
Stunning.
So who were some of your inspiration, the people that you aspired to be?
I think that's actually a very funny now kind of question to answer, because I don't think that there was ever a gender influence on me, which I think was great.
Yeah.
Because I really loved watching the cheerleaders, which is kind of weird. It's kind of like a full circle now, because there are pictures with me with pom-poms in my hand when I was 4 years old. And I just remember my family being like, oh, he's going to be a dancer. Look at him with his pom-poms. Look at him. And I would always just try to do what the cheerleaders did.
Yeah.
And we have old VHS tapes with me doing this. And so I think that I really got my first spark from watching the cheerleaders on the sidelines.
Yeah.
And from there, my family always jokes that I learned to dance before I learned to walk. I was always moving and grooving around the house. Always bumping. Something was thudding. I was hitting something. I was always whatever. And so I think that my initial spark was the cheerleaders. And then as I started taking some dance classes, I was super thankful that the very first studio that I went to had many, many boys.
Yeah.
If I had to do all the boys in the whole studio, it would be well over 30.
Yeah.
Very, very many. And then I went from that to being the only male at a studio once I moved to Connecticut. So a different type, but male dancers have just always been a part of my life. So I never thought of it as something unique.
It was always so fascinating to me because as a little girl, you would think I would be all in the princess ballerina mode. And I always was just drawn to the power in male dancers. And then the first time I ever got a spark of, I guess, knowing my sexuality or or like my sex as a girl in a body in dance was actually flash dance. And I remember watching that and having all these emotions because Jennifer Beals, I mean, in it, she's this kind of like little mutt of a dancer. And then she's like, and the other thing is, you know, I was always conflicted about this very cold, postured way of dancing. And my body, what I loved about male dancers was this power and this primality that I was like, I was denying in my body as a little girl because like, suck it in, tuck it up, and like be asexual, you know, as a ballerina.
Absolutely.
And then when I watched Flash Dance, and I remember literally like the Irene Cara song and like the goosebumps just came over me. And it's the first time I think I had feelings about a woman in a way that I was like in love with Jennifer Beals, but I also wanted to be Jennifer Beals.
Absolutely,
and it was so
sure.
cool. Do you have any iconic dance movie moments where you were like, whoo, if I could have been in that, I would be in it?
Yes. I don't think it's a mainstream movie that people think of, because I think, like I said, Flashdance, something very much like that. Step Up 2.
Oh,
I love Step Up 2. Okay, I remember.
Some of the most amazing choreography.
Oh, I watched this movie, I kid you not, in my life 20 times when it first came out. Because I just could not fathom how smart that dancing is and how smart that choreography is. Every aspect of that. I mean, obviously the first one was incredible, groundbreaking. Second one, though, and I think that it's what contradicts me a little bit, because I am very much like a jazz power. I love technique. I love lines. I love turning. I love leaping. And then here my favorite dance movie is about hip hop dancers and break dancers. And like I was drawn to that masculinity that even the main girl had. I mean, she had that raw, just like, she owned her sexuality in that, and knowing that she was not going to be that prima ballerina that everyone wanted her to be. And she was just herself. She's like, no, if I want to be one of the boys, I'm going to be one of the boys. And vice versa. I think that was just, it's such a beautiful movie. And that was, I mean, I had like, do you remember those little iPod Nanos, both the one that you could have the movies on? That was my only movie that I had on there. And every road trip I'd watch that, and I would just replay the ending dance sequence when they're out on the streets, out in the rain, pouring down, and just, it's so smart. And I can just envision everything right now. Everything about that movie just, I think, explores dance in a different way, and especially for the time that it came out too.
Very much so.
I don't think that many people knew about like breakdancing or street dancing or that kind of grit of dance, because everyone thought dance, ballet. It's pretty. And that to me was like, because I was never naturally flexible, I was never naturally that prima ballerina that people wanted me to be, that I could look at it and go, you know what? I could have my own strengths in that. So that's when I was like, you know, I want to find my own power. I want to find my own way to move my body and dance that is unique to my own self. And so I think that is when I was like, you know, I'm going to own me. I'm just going to do it. And that's just what it's going to be.
The music, like
amazing.
Move if you want. I like begging.
Yes.
I was like,
my God.
I have those, and I still play them in my classes. And all of a sudden my body, like the Mim song is like, move if you want to get down and dirty.
Shake it like a bomb, like a bomb. Oh,
it's the best.
Iconic.
It is. It is absolutely one of my favorite albums. And it's so crazy. There's only a few movies that literally, like, your emotional recall comes right up, and you get those goosebumps, and your body responds, and you're like,
oh, and I could just see, after watching it a couple of times, I mean, I would be there doing all the accents, like ga ga ga, like the breath, like there's something that you're just there in your seat, and you're just like, oh, I feel it too.
Totally,
absolutely,
it is amazing. So I am curious. You lived on both coasts. Lead me through, like, from graduating high school, Texas Tech, and like, what brought you to the coast?
So what brought me to the East Coast was my dad's job. So I was in 8th grade living in Michigan at the time, and my dad got a new job in Connecticut, and that's what brought us there. And that, I feel, is more my home for me because I went to high school in Connecticut and grew up there. And that's where I have my close personal friends there. I mean, they are my ride or dies.
Yeah.
So living on the East Coast, it was great because I had the city there whenever I wanted to. I had the coast, I had the beaches, Rhode Island, Boston. I mean, beautiful. So then I went to Texas Tech and was on the dance team there, was on the Texas Tech Pom Squad for my last 2 years of college there. And I had always known that I wanted to continue my career professionally performing and dancing. So even before I moved out to California, I had it in my mind that I had already done everything that I needed to do in New York.
Yeah.
I had put that coast to rest. In my mind, I was like, you know what? There's film out there. Maybe the live theater isn't as big there, but it still is there.
Yeah.
So even if I want to go back to that, I can always do so. But I want to try the film world a little bit, just dabble and see what happens. So my brother, he went to Texas Tech as well. He graduated the semester before I went to Texas Tech. So then he moved right after graduation to Santa Monica in LA.
Okay.
So he lived out there. And then when I told him, I was like, hey, I'm coming to LA. And my brother and I were best friends. I love him. He is my ride or die. Like, he is the biggest protector of me. And he was like, all right, we're going to get a 2-bedroom and it's just going to be you and me and we're going to do it. And I'm like, all right, going back to living with my brother, I guess so. And so I was like, all right, I'm ready for this though. Yeah. But it was amazing, like absolutely amazing. So I moved out there. It was me, him, and then one of my really good friends from Tech as well too. We both moved out there. All three of us lived together. And it was, I could not be more thankful for
that experience.
Experience. And because now I know how both coasts live and the experiences that they have. And so I'm very thankful because I thank my moves that I've had to do in my life for allowing me to acclimate very quickly.
Yeah.
So that getting to experience cities like New York and LA, but also smaller towns like Rochester, Michigan, or El Paso, Texas, or something that like people like won't think of like right away. Like I think that like those adventures for where I am now and being able to be where I am now. Yeah. So but I mean, being on both coasts have been amazing, and I'm so
surprised that when you were in Southern California, the Disney cult did not get you. So I actually worked in apartment management out there. So I managed like 1,000+ units. Wow. That was right out in Anaheim. Okay. And literally, I would say 75% of the people who lived at that apartment complex worked at Disney. Oh. So my life was inundated with probably, I mean, I have to give it to Disney and their hiring ability. Yes. I mean, they train their staff, but they also hire staff that in their soul they have the light of Walt Disney.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're amazing.
Sure. Yes.
So I didn't have a bad day managing that complex. And then on top of it, I had the opportunity because they all worked there.
Absolutely.
To where I basically would go to Disneyland free all the freaking time.
Absolutely.
But they were all dancers, they were performers, and even the roller coaster operators were Disney-rific. But I am so surprised. You did work on a cruise ship though at one point, even though it was not Disney-fied.
Yes.
So did you ever get approached? Because I could totally see you as like a Disney prince or, you know.
If the opportunity actually ever came about to work somehow in Disney, I feel like I would deeply consider it just because I have many friends out in LA, in Florida, who worked different job descriptions at Disney. I had people who were characters. I had people who were performers. I had people who were the ride attendants, like every aspect of it. And no one had a bad thing to say about it. No. Everyone loved their job there. I mean, so I think that if it came about, I'd be like, you know what? I think I would consider it just because the Disney magic. And I feel like just how I view myself and how I feel like I am, that I just feel like naturally I'm all about just making people happy. That's just literally the bottom line of me. I want others to feel happy in their life. I want them to feel confident. I want them to feel loved. I want them to feel comfortable. Yeah. And Disney, I feel we would have like the best relationship with that, just because that's what they're all about is the experience and the magic.
They were even one of the first companies that when it comes to all inclusive, and when they were the type of company that from the very beginning educated people on every single kind of person that would be a part of their team. And what I loved about that was it was never under this blanket statement of now everything is, to where it's like, well, we're now in coaching for what really bums me out is that it should already be something that is in every single company.
Yes.
And, with Black Lives Matter, now we have so many companies moving towards educating people on, hey, don't be a racist or don't be a homophobe.
Right, exactly.
And you sit there and you're like, what the and what I loved about the people that I was around there was that. And you just really have that energy and light.
Thank you.
So what you were on the cruise, I'm so curious.
Yes.
What was that like?
That was an incredible experience. And I mean, I will say this till the day I die, definitely a once in a lifetime opportunity. Yeah. I mean, it happened very fast. I moved to LA and I was like, I knew that I always wanted to do a cruise line at one point in my life. And the funny part is that these people never saw me in person before they hired me. So I moved to LA and I saw on their website that they were looking for online submissions for male dancers specifically. And I go, you know what? Just going to do it. So I recorded all my audition stuff that they wanted. I just sent it into them. And 2 weeks later, they go, we want you to go do a callback. I'm like, perfect. When, where? I'll fly out. They go, no. It's online. I was like, okay. So I got material that I learned, sent it back to them. 2 weeks later from that, they're like, all right, you have your first cruise in about 5 months. We'll see you then. And I'm like, perfect. People I've never met before. And I'm like, awesome, let's do it. And I mean, it was incredible. I mean, so then we rehearsed for about 6 weeks in Tampa, Florida. They have creative studios down there. And after that, April 6th, I believe, we flew off to Rome and we just were in Europe for 6 months. And it was incredible. So we learned three shows, our big shows. We did have an extra one that was technically our fourth show, is like our welcome aboard show. And we had 3 amazing, incredible, different performances. I mean, we had our very first one, World Beat, which was my absolute favorite. It was just a little bit of every country. So we did the US, we did Ireland, I mean, we did Spain, we did every type of dance around the world, Philippines. I mean, we did everything that it encompassed. And that actually is when I was able to do aerial work.
So cool.
Yes, I love the aerial work.
Best?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
When we were talking about it earlier, I loved it. So I forget the name of it. It's the rope.
Yes.
I was the flyer for that.
You were,
I loved it. It was my favorite part of the entire show. I loved it. And so we did that, but then all of a sudden we changed to a show that was called it was more of like a rock show.
Okay.
So music from all the 80s. I mean, I'm talking like Bon Jovi. I am talking like just the hits of the 80s.
That is awesome.
And it was so like Queen, everything, you name it, it was in there. And then our last show, completely different. It was more like an animalistic show. It was called Elements. And it was like every element of the earth. So we started with earth. We moved into water. We moved into air. Then we ended with like fire and then snow. And it was an incredible experience. I mean, the entire thing, and the thing that still blows my mind is that we were getting paid to travel the world and perform doing what we love. I mean, it was incredible. The places that we got to see. I mean, I'm so blessed. My favorite city now, and my favorite place in the world, Santorini.
Oh,
I love Santorini, and I'm telling you, my previous coach from Texas Tech, her and her husband have gone there multiple times, and they showed me pictures before when I told them I was going to be able to go. And they were like, we can show you every picture, but it's not going to be anything like when you're in person. And I get it now, because when you're there at the top of the mountain, sunset with a drink in your hand,
it's everything.
It is everything. I mean, I did not have a care in the world when and my friends are trying to talk to me, and I'm just like, shh.
You're like,
no,
I love it.
I love you guys, but I need to take this in first. It's beautiful. So
what was the hardest thing about being on a cruise ship?
I think the hardest thing that most people don't think about, I mean, I think people are like, oh, you're on a cruise, like you're on a ship for 6 months. That has to be hard. I'm like, physically, yes, because you're in this own little bubble that you can't escape from.
Yeah.
But that's really not the hard part. You acclimate to that. I mean, you're used to living with a roommate again. You're used to seeing the same people every day. You make connections. That's actually kind of the fun part.
Yeah.
The hard part is putting your life on hold while everyone else in your life is still having their life and they're excelling on. And you have to be okay with missing things. Yeah. I missed 2 of my friends getting engaged. I missed one of my friends having a baby. And you miss life things.
Yeah.
And personally for me, that I could never, I am so sad every day for thinking that I missed those important life events, because those things are just way too important for me.
Yeah.
For some people, I mean, I commend them. they can do cruise lines for years and just be okay with that. And knowing that, yes, it's sad, but it's a sacrifice. That's just a sacrifice that me personally, because my family and my friends are everything to me, I cannot give up. So I think that it's not being on the ship. It's being away from life.
That's so interesting. And I love that. Actually love that you said that, because I find that performers, when they are committed to a show, I've only done it two or three times in my life, and you have to put everything on hold. And you're in a zone, because you have choreography, you have sometimes dialogue, whatever it is. You have to remember it, and it's interesting how I have to say the people who do Broadway blow my effing mind, because sometimes they're doing 2 shows a day. They're doing so many a week. And then on top of it, it's like the days they get off are like 0. And then on top of it, they have to keep going through the choreography. They have to keep going. So
absolutely.
And then you live in New York, but it's like, well, my life is in this theater. And that's about it. And then you crash and you go.
And I think what people don't understand about performers is that when we're off stage, we still have to preserve our talent. And meaning, like, if you're a dancer, you have to make sure that you're not doing anything that can get you hurt or injured, or you need to rest your body. You need to, it's not like we're just like going to be out rock climbing the day before or the morning of a show if we know that we're going to be having to do like all this like intense work on our body. Same with singers. I mean, like, I would never be able to be a Broadway singer and be also like a fitness coach, or where I'm like just like pumping people. You have to preserve, or like if you're a ballerina, if you're like in the Joffrey Ballet or something, do you really want to be wearing stilettos the night before a performance? I mean, it's stuff that like absolutely not. Like, it's stuff like that people I think don't realize that there's a lot of sacrifice to it. And I mean, like, it is so worth it. Trust me. I mean, like, sometimes doing what you love, I mean, there's no greater feeling. And so you do it. And I'm so blessed and thankful that I have been able to get the opportunity to do that. So, I mean, going back to the cruise, it was amazing. I mean, I gained so much from it. And it was an incredible job. It is an incredible job. I so encourage anyone to try it if they ever get the opportunity to, because it is absolutely incredible. I met some of my best friends on that cruise. She lives in Australia, and her and I, she's my forever friend, I know. And so, but you have to be okay with the sacrifices that come along with it, which I don't think people understand right away. Until you go through it. And
then, you're someone like me who hung on for the longest time, wanting to be a dancer, putting my body through the paces, and then going into aerial arts. And then it's amazing how now at age 43, I went to go see Quixotic this last weekend. It was like one of their final shows. And I got, there was this kind of sweet melancholy of like, I used to be able to do quite a bit of, and your body, but you have to know when to give your body a break. And you also have to understand that the seasons of your life. So right now you're at where I call like the pinnacle season, where it sounds like if you ideally you'd like to be with the Chiefs for a few more years. And then from there, my question to you is balance right now with Chiefs, with your job, and then you're just like this explosive heart. So I'm guessing that you do work philanthropy wise through the Chiefs, but also has there been things that you've been inspired to give back?
Absolutely. I think that, so I've actually taught dance since I was 17.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely. I've been my dance teacher / boss now. I mean, she has been my second mom ever since I've been 15. And so she taught me so much, and she has given me so many opportunities because she knew that I loved choreographing and loved teaching. So I have been so grateful that I have been able to teach since I was 17. And I think that is where I start feeling my giving back now, which is, it's fueling my soul for performing in a different way. I mean, just last night, so I teach at a couple studios locally here as well. And the girls that I had last night, I mean, it was a class late at night, 8 o'clock at night, going till 9:30. I mean, these girls are tired. They have school, especially with COVID and everything right now. Like, there's just so much that they are having to deal with. The last thing I want them to do is come into my class thinking that they have to be stressed about learning something.
Yeah.
And so I looked at them and I go, you know what, girls, like we're going to work on stuff tonight, but let's just breathe. Let's just have a moment. Let's just like take a second to escape from reality real quick. And I think that like we set that tone from the beginning.
Yeah.
And so many girls improved just within this hour and a half class. I mean, we worked on things. And going back to your question now, what fuels my fire now and what like I love to give back and what I get out of it now is seeing them now grow and now get something where something just clicks and they go, oh, that's what it's supposed to feel like. That makes sense. And so last night we were working on extensions and flexibility stuff, which I cannot do, but I love teaching though. Oh, it's my favorite. And this one girl who has legs for days just wasn't in the proper alignment or placement of it. As soon as she like fixed herself and I like helped her get through that, I mean, the smile on her face, the light bulb, and it wasn't even like oh my God, it was almost like a whoa. Like I just did that. That is what selfishly for me personally now just makes my heart so happy. The fact that they are now like, wow, that makes sense. That I just did that. Like I didn't know that I could do that before.
It's a real gift to speak to someone's body. I think it's interesting. I've had a lot of dance teachers and I've been in fitness for a long time. And I watch because our bodies need a release, right? So it's in the power of the words, but speaking to the body parts. And then also understanding the power in the words that can really bring that muscle, brain, and breath together to where they start to really feel it. And I'm always in awe, and I'm an avid like watcher, and I love to watch someone teach first. I can't tell you how many times people have asked me to take their class, and I'm like, well, can I watch it first? Because learning a teacher's language and then really understanding the flow of things, you can watch people just bloom.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's so cool to see that.
It is. It's incredible just to like see people in their element. And so I remember, my brother and I, very different. He's a computer engineer. He's, I mean, doing very well for himself. I'm like the proudest little brother ever. And he's always been that way with me too. But growing up, he was like the football jock, computer nerd, like I was a dancer, a little bit more of the outgoing, like Mr. Personality person. And we made a deal because he never wanted to come to my dance recitals. And I don't blame him. They were 4 hours long and I wouldn't want to go through that either if I were just in the audience. And I was like, I don't want to go to your Friday night football games either. He goes, all right, let's just make a deal. We don't have to. And I was like, perfect. And so my mom was like, did you guys really just make a deal that you guys weren't going to go to each other's stuff? And we're like, yeah, but we're like, we're cool with it. So it wasn't until though that I was getting older that my brother was like, hey, I need to drop something off to you. Where are you? I'm like, I'm teaching at the dance studio. And so he's like, okay, cool. So he meets me there. And like, I mean, this is a guy who has never stepped in a dance studio in his life. And I was just in my element. Like, and I was just like, I remember I was like in the back of the studio, my girls were there and we were drilling something. And I get home that night and he goes, I did not understand how you were like in your element until I saw it. And he was like, watching you be in your element and watching you teach and instruct and like help morph these kids' lives. He was like, that was the coolest thing I could have ever seen, more so than if you were dancing by yourself on stage. He goes, because I could tell that your heart was in it to help these kids. And he was like, it's just amazing. And so I totally agree that like it's different to watch someone in their element than be in their element currently. And it speaks volume to like
especially
understand
when you're out of your element. So for me, my family, they never, I mean, my mom kind of got it, but she kind of didn't. Like she was always kind of wanting me to be a little bit this way or a little bit that way. And I was always somebody who wanted to have fun, and I liked to be a little sexy, and I wanted to be daring. And I remember when I moved to New York, my sister knew I was so frustrated because my family had never watched me really perform or move, and especially the aerial part and the pole part. They were like, that's like for strippers, and what are you doing? So my sister ended up writing a play for me specifically.
Oh.
And we performed it in the East Village, and it was a 12-show run. And I was actually in the New York Times. Little brag here.
Oh my
brag.
God. Oh, subtle brag. Love that.
And it was amazing because it was about our culture. So I'm Iranian.
Yes.
And, to be on a pole in a Persian family is like, guess what? But the artistry of what I did, I was so proud of. So she created this play. I performed. My father saw me for the first time, and he was taken aback. Mm-hmm. And then I have my mother, who I've always wanted her to come to my classes.
Yes.
And the reason why I like the idea of listening first is because we get so in our head, especially with people we love and care about, where we want to show up for them. Then we're in the class, we don't feel good in our bodies, or we don't know what they're doing. Maybe we don't take yoga, maybe we don't, and then you have this moment to where you just shut down completely. And I think I watched that with a few of my immediate family members, where they're like, the most amazing is when they get to watch you. Yes. And then they can make the decision if they want to do the class or not. But then they can actually just see you and not be in your head. Yes. So I have a question for you. Absolutely. Because Dominic Franco, so background is
Hispanic.
What? Hispanic.
Yes.
So, and then for many people who may not know from this podcast, you are gay, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So Hispanic gay dancer. My question to you is, family. Were they ever like with my family, they were like, we don't want you to be a Persian girl on a pole. Yeah. So did you ever get any pushback from your family of like, what are you doing, my son or my...
Oh, yeah. No, I, right off the bat, just have to say, I have been super blessed with an incredibly supportive family.
Yeah,
I mean, even when I was like 6 years old and my mother was like, oh my God, this kid will not stop dancing. Like, what do I do with this child? It was never like, oh, should we still try to put him in sports to see what happens? I think my mom saw me kick a ball and was like, nope, this is not for him. Coming from a lady who played basketball growing up, coached my soccer team when I was 6. And she looked and was like, you know what? He's picking flowers and doing cartwheels in the field goal. Yeah. Maybe we should like not have him in this. And so love that she was like, you know what? Maybe not for him. Yeah. And I asked my mom this. I was like, Mom, what if, because I started performing when I was 6 years old when we first moved to Florida from Texas. And I was in a show choir. And I was like, Mom, what if we didn't move there? Like, what would you have done? Like, would you have kept me in sports? And she goes, no, I would have found something performing arts wise because I knew that's where you wanted to be. And that was actually the first sign to me that I knew that from the get-go. My mom was like, my son wants to perform. Yeah. All right, let's make this happen. And then I think that I get a lot of questions about my dad. Yeah. And I mean, he has been nothing but the biggest support ever. I mean, trust me, my mother would drive me to all my dance lessons, drive me to all my singing lessons. Like, I mean, everything. She was the best. I could not have asked for more. My dad, though, I remember I was in high school one time and we were doing a show, Sweeney Todd, my sophomore year of high school. And it's a dark show.
It is a very dark show. I love Sweeney Todd, but it is dark.
It is
dark.
It's amazing.
Dark and twisty.
Sondheim, like, I worry about his sanity sometimes, but that's a different podcast, so we'll talk about it later.
Definitely. We will have we need to do a whole thing about movies and theater.
Absolutely. I love that. Yes. But for some reason, from that show, after the show, he was like, it's something about that hit me. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, seeing you do that show just kind of got me a little teary-eyed because I could see how in it you were. And I mean, like, my parents have just been nothing but supportive from the get-go. I had never got any pushback of why do you want to dance? Yeah. Why do you want to, I mean, my parents were like, okay, you want to dance? All right, we'll find a dance studio. Oh, you want to go to performing arts high school? All right, here's one here. Let's and
thank God they didn't combine it with your sexuality.
No.
Because I think that's the thing that gets really frustrating for me now is everything is about who you're attracted to, and you have to be in this particular box. And again, I get frustrated because I believe that we need to get out of gender roles completely.
Yes.
I mean, I think men in general should be experiencing more of the
Absolutely,
arts
for
and things that
sure.
are more traditionally feminine, which again, I mean, really, it isn't. I feel like times have changed so much now,
Absolutely.
but there still is this sense of this gender that belongs in certain things. And what I love
Yes.
is that you're being a male dancer, cheerleader, to me is completely like, yes, there needs to be more.
Yes,
It shouldn't
absolutely.
be, I don't know, like this special, like you're a
Yes.
unicorn, you
Yes.
know?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, I couldn't agree more. And I immediately thought of one of my best friends. He is the straightest man alive.
Yeah.
I mean, ballroom dancer, did karate, and teaches and does hip hop. I mean, like, he teaches hip hop and acro at my studio back home.
Yeah.
I mean, like, boy knows how to move his hips from salsa
Yeah.
and cha-cha like
Yeah.
better than anyone I know. Like, and I mean, like, and you look at that, and people I think would just assume, but then here you have this just very, very, very heterosexual man that is just comfortable with himself and
Yeah.
literally just does not care at all. And that I think is what we need more of, like just comfortability with yourself,
Yeah.
like whatever, and like disassociating, like you said,
Yeah.
what you do with who you are.
Exactly.
And I think that just brings more like light and happiness and love in the world. And we all need that a little bit right now.
We really do. So I guess my next question to you is that when you're thinking about how your career, your trajectory of your dance career is, and this hiccup of COVID, what has come out of it? Has there been a little bit of an evolution in your teaching, your movement, you as a personal dancer? And what has become something that you feel like, I'm a little panicked because I need to go back and hone those skills, like something you left on the wayside.
Yes.
So something that's evolved and something that you're like, I need to put more care into that.
Absolutely. Starting with evolved, I mean, Chiefs right off the bat.
Yeah.
I can wholeheartedly say that I would not be in Kansas City if it weren't for COVID.
Wow.
Just because of my time. I was performing professionally, and I mean, super thankful for that because that's all I did when I was in LA. But I was going from show to show to show, and I never had time to pause that, to come out here, audition, and then go back to my normal life and see what happens. So when COVID happened, actually, it was the biggest blessing for me because I was able to do that in LA, not having to be here.
Yeah.
And so I think that what evolved from it is my career now, and where like my physical place of being in Kansas City now and being in the seat with you
Yeah.
and talking, because if it weren't for that, I wouldn't be here, which I know obviously COVID is just a hard time for everyone right now, and we're struggling to find the light in it right now. But I remind myself every day that I'm blessed because of it, because if not, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
So that's, I think professionally, I've gained so much out of it. What I feel like I need to hone in on a little bit more is like me and my technique. And because I mean, like, there's no dance studio. There wasn't a dance studio that I could go to at the beginning of COVID because everything was shut down. And I mean, you lose things because I mean, I wasn't stretching as much. I wasn't doing all my technique that I was doing. I wasn't teaching as much. I wasn't in even my teaching element where I was helping people. So I almost felt a little bit trapped, being like, oh, I have all this creative energy that I just need to let out right now, and I can't. Yeah. And so, but I mean, I'm just thankful that like right now I'm back in the classroom, and I'm back teaching my girls, and I'm back having my alone time by myself, doing my technique and everything. So we're back on the right track. But it was definitely it's definitely been a bittersweet time. Yeah. But I have to still say that I'm very thankful for COVID in a really weird way.
I know, right? And now being really acclimated in Kansas City, what are some of your favorite things about the city? It's pretty great.
I love it, and I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting it, I'm not gonna lie, to be like a dirt town.
Yeah.
I was expecting nothing. I was expecting, okay, there's like gonna be like a little itty bitty city, like, and then dust and nothing.
Yeah.
And then I remember I was driving up and I had my mom on the phone, and I was like, oh my God, oh my God, Mom, oh my God. And she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, it's just so pretty here.
Yeah.
Like I drove up through Overland Park first, like so
Yeah.
south, because I was coming from Texas. And I just remember being like, wow, there's so much here, especially downtown.
Yeah.
What I love, and I was explaining to my brother this past weekend, is that they preserve the life that it used to have, and they're revamping the inside of it now. They like the buildings being different. They like the old brick. They like the rustic look, which I think is so unique to the city. But then they're bringing all these like revolutionary things to the city now, like activities. There's power and light. There's apartments coming up in every corner now. Like it's growing, but still keeping the essence of what it always has been, which I think is beautiful. There's art everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm just a huge art, like around the
I'm
city.
too.
I think that different artists having different walls and just having their own little touch of them in the city, it's just so unique. And so me getting acclimated, I think that that is what I like have loved most, is that it's a small city, but has a big heart and has a big personality of its own that I think is unlike any other city. I mean, when people think of a big city, they'll think New York,
Totally.
LA, Paris, Rome. I mean, they don't think of Kansas City right away.
No.
But when you're here, I actually tell people that it's like a small town mind in a big city location, because we are the city shuts down for Red Friday. And then like there's so many things that like randomly pop up, like Burger Week or something like that. Like that big cities don't have, like the whole city shuts down for a Friday.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't happen everywhere. So it's the mentality of like, we are just one big city all together, that I think that is just what is so special about it.
Well, and it sounds like you got a good welcoming, because from what I hear, you are loved so deeply by your people at F45. And then I know personally some of the Chiefs cheerleaders who think you're amazing.
Thank you.
So I guess my final question for you today, because I always wanted to know, because I was never an NFL cheerleader.
Yes.
How does it feel to put on that uniform, and when you're out on the field, what is it in your body? What is it in your soul when you're moving? Like, what is it that I don't know. I want to be in your body, what it feels like.
Can't explain too much about this right now.
Yeah.
But I will say, being in Kansas City now, and experiencing the things that I have been able to be experiencing and are currently experiencing, I didn't understand the feeling of being at the right place in the right time.
Yeah.
But if I could encompass that in like a physical feeling, that's what it would be.
I love
it. That there are some things, like, that you may have to push for, that you work for, but there is just something about the sereneness and the nirvana, I guess, that of just taking a breath and knowing that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Yeah. And I think that is the best feeling ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been so blessed and thankful for all the experiences that I've been able to do now, especially here in Kansas City with all these opportunities. And when you're in it, nothing else matters except for just being with the people around you and knowing that this is literally where you're supposed to be. And nothing else in the world matters. Doesn't matter what you're doing after. Doesn't matter what happened before. When you're in it, that's it. There's no better place to be. And it's cool, because I think that right now we're all focused on like, the future. What am I going to do in 5 years? What am I going to do in 10 years? What am I going to do with the rest of my life? Yeah. But in that moment, that doesn't matter.
Oh, honey, you are preaching to the choir. Tomorrow's not guaranteed.
Absolutely. And I think that is what I get constantly reminded of, is that, especially during COVID times right now, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Yeah. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. 5 minutes from now is not guaranteed. Yeah. So when you're in that moment, you're reminded, you know what, just enjoy now.
Yeah.
Because now is gone now. Yeah. And just live in the moment and just breathe. Yeah. I mean, just take a second and just be thankful for where you are, because when you feel that you're in the right place at the right time, there's no better feeling.
No. I absolutely have loved this time with you, and I'd love to have you back.
Absolutely.
Again, I'm not even joking when I say we need to talk all things movies and musicals.
Girl, I would go on for days. Don't get me started.
But it feels so good to know someone's wearing a uniform that represents our city.
Thank you.
That is being in the moment and here. Like, you're not thinking about what happened yesterday, not happened tomorrow. You are here. You're cheering for our team. You're cheering for our city. And I can tell you now, you have a bunch of cheerleaders here from the Seraphine podcast. We love you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been absolutely incredible.
You are a light. I love it. Well, thank you so much for watching today. And please, please, please like and subscribe. And Dominic, I was going to ask you, where can people see more of you? Are you on Instagram? Are you on social media?
I am absolutely on social media.
Yes.
Absolutely. So my Instagram handle is at d.franco95. That's mostly where I'm at. I do have a Twitter that's a little bit not as active.
Yeah.
I usually just scroll for the funny stuff there. And
That's
then
my TikTok.
Absolutely, for sure, on Facebook as well. But no, I mean, I try to keep my Instagram as up to date as possible. I love it. I'm on it 24/7. So absolutely, but definitely find me there. I would love to just talk more about this and just be a part of this.
I love it. Well, we're going to have more of Dominic for sure. And I can't wait to see his journey, not only with the Chiefs, but here in the community. He is a dancer. He's giving back to the community, and he's just a freaking amazing, amazing person.
Thank you so much.
Again, if you like this, please click the subscribe button. And I can't even say the words because I am overwhelmed with all the goodness of Dominic. I will see you guys later on the flip side. See you later.
Bye, guys.